Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a breathing and restoring practice. Props to have nearby tonight a chair, preferably something without arms, something with a flatter surface. And I'd invite you to try and sit more towards the front of the chair rather than the back. Other props to have a bolster, maybe a block, and a blanket. And we're going to roll that up into the cinnamon roll tonight. And I'll tell what the cinnamon roll is later if you've not heard that before. So we'll start seated in a chair. So when you're ready, find a comfortable seat for yourself. You can place your hands on your knees if you like. Go ahead and let your eyes close. Use these first few moments to allow settling to happen. Settling onto your pelvis, letting your feet settle onto the earth. Notice if your breathing still expresses any echoes of the day you've just lived. Is there a way you can remember that each breath has four parts? The breath pauses, and then we inhale. And at the end of the inhale, we pause the breath again, and then exhale. As you remind yourself and rediscover those four parts of the breath for right now in your body, and you let your lips rest together. So you're breathing through your nose, not through your mouth. With your lips resting together, can you let your teeth be separate? So your bottom teeth are not pressing against your top teeth. Maybe swallow the next time you swallow. Notice how your tongue goes up to the roof of your mouth while you're swallowing. Next time you swallow, can your tongue stay up on the roof of your mouth after the swallowing is completed? Maybe have a sense that your tongue can be wide and soft across the roof of your mouth. And as you slowly breathe out and breathe in through your nose, can your tongue detect the motion and the movement of air through your nose? If the air's passage creates a friction against the inner lining of your nose, can you detect that with your tongue through the roof of your mouth? The roof of your mouth is also the floor of your nose. If there's a floor of your nose, there's also a roof or a ceiling in the nose. And the ceiling of the nose or the roof of the nose is the floor of the eyes. Maybe notice, can you feel air's friction or passage through both the roof of the mouth and the floor of the eyes? Do you notice breath moving anywhere else in your face? Maybe through your cheekbones. You might have a sense of air behind your eyes or even between and a little over the eyes. You might even have a sense of air changes inside the ears while you move the air through the nose. There's a tiny little passageway that connects each ear canal to the inside of your nose, the eustachian tubes. Just a little longer with this. We're going to move in just a moment. Can you feel the effects of breathing in your head? And also notice how it's changing the shape of your rib cage, your belly, even your back body's shape changes. Even the sides of your body, the places between your front and your back, between the arms, below the armpits, and above the pelvis. Give yourself a few more moments of breathing and notice, can you let the breathing get even quieter? So there's no real difference between The pause and the sound of the pause and the sound of the inhale. Between the pause and the sound of the pause and the sound of the exhale. And as you bring yourself more into yourself, what is it like to quiet your breathing? Does that help quiet your mind? Does that quiet your emotions in any way? Try and keep this quiet breathing. And when you're ready, let your shoulders have a slow and easy circling upwards and around and then downwards and the other way at the bottom. At some point, reverse that circling direction. Go up the other way. If you went up the front before, now go up the back, down the front. Notice do you stiffen in your hands or your wrists or in your jaw to move your shoulders? And then how about one full circle go up the front and down the back, and then the next circle go up the back and down the front. So you're reversing those two patterns. Go ahead and let your right shoulder stay down. Can you do that with just the left shoulder up the front and down the back? And then the left shoulder only up the back and down the front. Repeat that a couple times with that one shoulder. Can it be the same speed through the whole movement? And notice, do you have to get your head out of the way or do you put your head in the way to move your shoulder? Okay, next time this shoulder is landed, repeat that idea with the other side. So the other shoulder up the front and down the back, and then up the back and around and down the front. Notice again, are you moving your head towards your moving shoulder or moving it away from your moving shoulder? Do you have to clench the teeth or even hold the breathing? Go back when you're ready, both shoulders together, up the front and down the back, up the back and down the front. We're going to get a little fancy with this next one. Your left shoulder, can it go up the front while your right shoulder is going up the back? They meet at the top and then they circle around the opposite. So one goes up the front, one goes up the back, and then you do the opposite on the way down. Notice how your brain gets confused. Does one move and then the other? Are they both moving at the same time or are they moving opposite? And then letting both shoulders rest. How about easy turn your head over to the right and then look forward and then look to the left. As you do these slow rotations of your neck, one side to the other, try to keep your nose in your face. Try not to rotate your neck by moving your face forward or moving your nose forward in front of your face. As you do these rotations a little longer, perhaps close your eyes. Can you still feel the breath in the roof of your mouth with your tongue and in the floor of the eyes with your eyes? Come on back to center. Once you come on back to center, nasal clearing after your next exhale, raising one hand towards your face. You'll close your nose with your fingers. And then slow and easy movement for your head. Remember, don't drag your nose with your hand. Let your hand rest on your face, and your moving head brings your hand along for the ride. You need the inhale, head back to center, release the nose. Quiet inhale, quiet exhale. Notice if there's this big rush that happens with the inhale. How do you come back to slowing it down? Give yourself 2 or 3 or 4 easy breaths. Don't forget your pauses. And in your own time, you can repeat that. Maybe use the other hand this time. You'll inhale and then exhale. And at the end of the exhale, the other hand closes the nose. And then easy movement for your head and your neck. Take your time as you explore that on this side. Sorry, I just had a bad yoga teacher moment. If you heard my cell phone go off. And bring your head to center when you come on back to center. I like how you just shook your head no while you were doing that. That was pretty cool. Go ahead and take your time. Easy breath in and out. What was it like after that nasal clearing? We'll do a third. You get to choose which hand to do this time. Remember, easy inhale. Don't rush it. There's no rush. Easy exhale as you move your hand up. Take your time to close the nose. Give your head some movement, keeping the lips together, holding the breath out while gently pinching your nose closed. Remember, we use the movement to stimulate production of nitric oxide in the nose. So when you do bring your head to center and release your nose, that first inhalation brings all of that accumulated nitric oxide down through the throat into the lungs. The lungs receive the nitric oxide gas. It helps to dilate any constriction in our vascular system. When we get stressed, we tend to constrict in our vascular system, so it helps it to open for easier blood flow. We'll hum the next one. You can take a slow inhale. Maybe swallow, tongue to roof of mouth. Remember, carpeting softly. Humming on your exhale to the best of your ability. Take your time, a little pause after the humming, and then inhaling, humming again. We use the nasal clearing and the humming to generate nitric oxide. We generate it with motion as well as with vibration. Giving yourself one or two more humming exhales. Maybe can you feel the humming through the nose and the tongue up into the eyes? And the tongue's vibration stimulate the nasal passages, stimulating the eyes. Don't hum louder just to make your eyeballs vibrate. And then easy inhales and exhales without the humming. What's that like next? Don't stifle the yawns, let the yawns free. Take your time letting them out. Yawning can be a sign that you're resetting your nervous system from being sympathetic, fight or flight, into parasympathetic, rest and renew. Let's do a little movement here. How about a little seated cat-cow in your chair? If you are leaning against the back of the chair, you might want to lean forward so you don't have the chair obstructing your movement. After cat-cow, go ahead and lean yourself over to the left and then come on up and lean over to the right. Next time you're leaning over to the left side, how about using your right hand? Can you grab the seat of the chair? That might not work depending on the kind of chair you're sitting in. Can you kind of hook your fingers around so when you lean away, you get more length through your neck space? You might slide your hand under the cushion if you can get under the cushion if you're there. And then same thing, when you rise up and head over to the other side, hook your fingers first and then lean away from your arm with hooked fingers. So try not to start the leaning before you have your hand attached and you go to the other side. And play with that a little bit. And even lean away and linger there. You can lean a little forward and back as you have your fingers hooked, bending one side, and that might move more into the front of the shoulder, the neck, or into the back of the shoulder, depending on your direction of movement. And then try the same thing on the other side. Once you've risen up and transitioned over, take your time as you explore that. And then once you come on back up, try your seated cat-cow. Notice if your shoulder blades seem to move a little differently after doing the hand hook with the side bend. Come on back to center after cat-cow. How about neck rotations again? Notice if neck rotations feel different after the side bend with the hand hook. And then bring in your hands together in front of you. Keep your thumbs resting against the front of your rib cage. Let your thumbs slide over in front of the top of your right armpit. And then keeping your thumbs touching you as you slide over in front of the left armpit. Get a sense when you go to the right with your hands, can the left hand kind of push the right hand along? And then when you go over to the left side, can the right hand kind of push the left hand along? So you're giving yourself a little resistance. The left, the pusher, the right hand's just resisting a little bit. And then when the hand is resisting just a little bit. If you like, to that same thing, add turn your head the opposite way. Try to keep your nose in your face as you're doing the neck rotations. Oh, really nice adjustment there. Your spine got longer when you did that. You like hold one of those two sides. So keeping your hands over on one side, keeping your neck turned to the opposite. As you breathe, let the rib cage change shape. And can you allow the shape change to happen more on the sides of you, less on the front top of you? So still low in the sides, diaphragmatically breathing, so the side bodies are expanding. And then when you're ready, you can finish that. Let the head come back, let the hands come back. And then just go side to side before we do the hold on the second side. Remember, can the one hand resists? So when you're going over to the right with your hands, let the right hand resist. So you just push the right hand back. And then when you go over, the left hand is pushing back. And then next time you're on the opposite side, the side you haven't held yet, you can be there. Maybe bring your nose back into your face so you're not flexing or thrusting your head forward in space. Try to be on both buttocks so you're not leaning more onto the side with your hands. Yeah, good job. No teeth clench if you can. As you breathe, how about breathing into side ribs? And when you're ready, you can unwind that. And again, go side to side. Maybe do it once or twice without the hand resisting. So you're just, what's it like to not resist your movement? And then do it again. Add that little bit of resistance. The right hand pushes back against the left. The left hand pushes back against the right. And then after you finish that, let your hands come down. Try your seated cat cow. Notice how that feels now. Think about as your spine goes to the back of the chair, your shoulder blades widen. And as your spine moves away from the back, your shoulder blades move together behind you. Come on back to center. Release your fingers and press your palms. Bring your palms towards the ceiling so you have palms up. A little bit of side bending. After a little bit of side bending, come on back to center. How about a little bit of twisting? Turning yourself. Can you look forward at eye level in the room if your eyes are open? Turn to the floor as you rotate. Come on back to center. Keep your hands up. How about a little cat cow? What does that do to get into your side body here? Come on back to center, letting your arms lower. Once you've lowered your arms, how about clasping your hands behind you? Now, where your hands go is dependent on what kind of chair. Maybe you can like sneak your fingers through if you got a little hole in your chair like I do. But if not, just let your knuckles rest. Start with, try to be forward on the chair and don't fall off the chair and don't let the chair do wheelies with the back wheels there. Yeah. So try to keep your, don't let the chair lift as you do that. Can you try cat cow? Keeping all four legs of the chair on the floor. If you're on a chair that could be moving, come on back to center with your hands behind you. Lean a little to the left and the right. So add the side bending. And then depending on your chair will determine how you get. Can you add a little twisting? So what is like to attempt twisting here? And then when you're ready, let your hands go, let them come back in front of you. Interlace your fingers again. This time when you interlace your fingers, switch your thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky, so your fingers slide over one. Pop again, so internal rotation. Come on up. We've got side bending. We've got, remember, keep your nose in your face. And how about a little cat cow with your hands in the air? What's that do for you? And then when you lower your hands down, try your shoulders. How about up the front and down the back? Maybe let your hands stay in the same spot so you're not sliding your hands. Let those yawns out. Don't keep them stifled in. And circle your shoulders around the other way. So here's just a total random tip because I love all of you so much. I heard once that if we don't let our farts out, they drift up into our brain, and that's where our bad ideas come from. So I wonder if it's the same with yawns. If yawns that don't come out turn into bad ideas. Okay, can one shoulder go up the back while the other is going up the front, and then reverse that? So up the back goes down the front, while the other one's going up the front and down the back. And then can you do that the opposite? So they're both going up at the same time. They meet at 12 o'clock, and then one goes down to 6 one way and the other goes down to 6 the other way, like if you had two clock faces. So they both go up together, they meet at the top. It's a brain twister. Yeah, too much. And you're ready. Both up together, same direction, and then reverse, both up the other way together. And then from here, bring your elbows down onto your knees. Let your forehead be heavy. So the back of your neck lengthens. Some of you are just going to want to stay here. Some of you might want to go further. You've got choices. You could bring your hands down onto the bolster between your feet. Some of you might want to put your hands all the way directly down on the floor. There's no better one. Just avoid the one that's causing a lot of pain and discomfort. As you breathe, and you allow your back body to expand and inflate with your breathing. Don't forget 4 parts. You might let the pause after the inhale hold just a little longer. And maybe the same at the end of the exhale. Can you stay empty just a little longer? Keep your forehead hanging so your neck is long. Now, to get up out of this, it's something to be a little tricky. Don't lift your back. Just one arm's elbow, put it up on one knee first. And then as you lean onto that elbow, then get the other elbow up onto the other knee. So you're not using your back muscles to pull you up. And then one hand at a time in the other. Push yourself the rest of the way up. Try your cat cow, see how that feels. And then when you're ready from here, we're going to move to the floor next. What I'd like to invite you to do is stand up and give yourself a little movement around. You might need to rearrange your space so you can get back to the floor. You might want to take a walk around, see how your legs feel. Notice how your arm and shoulder swing feels if you are walking around. And once you've made your way down onto your back, have your bolster nearby. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to start hands and knees. My bad. My bad. So bad. We're going to do the cinnamon roll with the blanket. So what does that mean? You can start by folding your blanket in half. Remember, tassels all together on the same side. If you have tassels on your blanket, fold it in half again. Again, still keep all the tassels together if you have tassels. And then once you have this long rectangle, then you can roll the rectangle up into the cinnamon roll. And then once you have that, you can go ahead and we're going to place one knee on it. I'm going to start with left knee on it first. Now, if you don't want to do the cinnamon roll or you don't have a blanket, you can also use a block underneath your left knee. Your starting position will be to have one knee up on the block and the other knee down on the floor. And then you'll bring or on the cinnamon roll, and you'll bring your hands to the floor. So you're in table position, but it's a weird one because one's up in the air. And so then once you have this, toes curl under, with your toe prints on the floor, only the knee that is on the floor, not the knee on the cinnamon roll. Lean into the cinnamon roll and pull the other knee up. Remember, both feet, toes stay on the floor. And then you lower this knee back down. So your knee pulls up and your knee pulls down. See if you can find from the floor, pull up so your knee is at the height of the other knee, and then pull up a little higher. So now you're above the other knee. And then go back to the height of the knee on the cinnamon roll or the block, and then lower back down towards the floor. Try that a few times. You've got 3 stopping points here at the top, the height of the knee, and at the floor. Notice how you use the muscles of your side body. And I'd like to encourage you to keep the hip joint of the leg on the block or the cinnamon roll, keep it over the knee. And with the other one, as you lift the knee, try not to swing your knee out to the side like you're going in a fire hydrant. Can you imagine your kneecap is lifting directly up over the point on the floor where it started, and you lower directly back down to the point where you started? Okay, bring this knee back to the floor. Go ahead and bring yourself back to child pose for a moment. See how your legs and your back feel after doing that. One side of your body different compared to the other. How about breathing? Does one lung breathe a little differently than the other? Okay, second side of that, whenever you're ready, rise up to table. Place your opposite knee now either on the block or the cinnamon roll. Knees are side by side, just like you were in table, just one's higher. Toes curl under, so you have your toe prints on the floor. And then as you lean against the knee on the block or cinnamon roll, raise the other one up and lower it back down. See if you can find those 3 heights. You've got the floor, stop at the height of the other knee, and then stop a little higher. Again, on the way down, stop at the height of the knee, and then lower the rest. Take your time as you move through this, raising and lowering. Try not to let your knee wing out to the side like a fire hydrant pose. And then when you're ready from here, you can do your last one, bringing both knees back to the floor. Your blanket or block you can push off to the side. Have a little cat-cow, see how that feels. Before we get to our back, thread the needle. Left hand behind right wrist. You can lower down onto your left shoulder. Try to keep your pelvis more over your knees. If you're too far back, your pelvis is closer to your heels. If you're too far forward, your pelvis is past your knee. Prioritize keeping your neck safe. What's it like to breathe here? And then when you're ready, whichever arm you're not laying upon, press that arm's hand to the floor to bring yourself back out. And once you've come out, try a little cat-cow, see how that feels. Bring yourself back to child's pose for a very quick moment. Notice how excited you feel compared to the other. And when you're ready, rising back to table, threading the needle second side. This time the other end slides behind the wrist. Lowering down onto your shoulder. Still prioritize protecting your neck. Give yourself a few breaths here. The part press into its palm, bring the arm out. A little bit of spinal movement, see how that feels. Settle back, child's pose for again, just a quick moment. Just if the perceived asymmetries are balancing out. And then when you're ready, Go ahead and rise back up. We're going to work with the bowl to do a few different things, the bolster side lying. So what I'd like you to do is start by bringing yourself to whatever you're calling the back of your mat. On your mat, bring yourself to the back of it and place your bolster on the mat. So it's on the right side of your mat as you're looking down at it. Okay, so just placing the bolster there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lay down in the position with, oh, my colors don't match tonight. Wrong color pins. My legs, here, I'll go sideways so you can see where it is. Here's the bolster. My knees are going to be bent. My feet are going to start in front of the bolster. And you might use your little cinnamon roll for under your head now. Okay, so we're got the bolster behind our calves, and you'll start by straightening your top leg over the bolster. You shouldn't need to move the bolster. You should be all set up to just put your straight leg right over the top of the bolster there. So for me, it's right leg over the bolster, left leg bent on the floor in front of the bolster. And then you put your the blanket under your head, bring your hands out in front of you. I want to get a thumb. They keep changing how the legs are on the bolster as we go through the sequence. Okay, so that's why I wanted to start with. Yeah, it's okay if I can't see you. I just want to make sure you got this, and then if you got this, we can go from there. Um, how are you sitting, Jessica? You're going to have your head towards the camera. Okay, with the way the bolster is right there. Yeah, you're going to have your head towards the camera. With your head towards the camera, your feet, knees bent in front of the bolster, exactly like it is. So your feet are going to be near the right-hand doors of your closet right there.
I'm going to have to move to another space. I don't have the physical floor space for it.
Okay, well, you can turn yourself on your mat so you're going the length of the mat, and you will have the physical floor space. This is like this. Here's the bolster on the right side of the mat. Yep. And so you're going to start with the bolster behind your bent knees and then just straighten the top leg over the bolster. Turn your bolster back the direction it was just oriented. Don't have your bolster turned that way. Yep. Your top leg is straightened, not bent, on top of the bolster. Once you've got this with your hands together, let your top hand slide forward and then your top hand slides back. I said, Jessica, there you go. And then your bottom is bent in front of that bolster there. There you go. So one hand forward and then one hand back as you rock through the shoulders. We've done this before, just an easy shoulder opener. As you do the rolling forward and back, you're letting your bottom arm rest and you're rolling your rib cage around the shoulder joint. So the shoulder blade stays in place and you're asking the rib cage to move. Now, notice what this does around the hip flexor space of that top leg over the bolster, especially as your hand goes back. Can you feel how your belly is pulling away from the top of your hip, away from the IT band? Okay, this is the first of our three positions for this. Keeping your leg where it is, just take the top arm, open it out to T position for just a moment. Keep the right leg where it is, so the right toes are facing forward. The right knee not changing, rolling the rib cage away from the right thigh. Take a few moments to breathe here. Maybe unstiffen any holding in your legs or your pelvis. And then keeping the legs where they are, you're just going to bring the right arm back over your rib cage. I like to keep my hand close to my ribs rather than doing a rainbow movement with my arm. And then as you come back, now we need to switch which leg, where the bolster is. So right now we're on like that. Well, we're going to switch So the bolster will move forward. The bottom leg is now straightened behind the bolster. And now your top knee is bent on top of the bolster. You just reorganize which leg is where. That bottom leg has to get behind the bolster. There you go. Yep. And it'll be straightened behind the bolster. So your bottom leg is straight. Top knee is now bent. Oh, yeah. That looks like everybody's almost there. And so once you have this, we're going to do the same thing. So the top arm slides forward and then comes back hand over hand, and the top arm slides back. The right knee's not moving. It's just staying exactly where it is. Now the top knee is bent, the bottom knee is straight. Give yourself a few movements of the arm forward and back. Remember, you're rolling on the ribs. You're not lifting the ribs up at all. And then when you're ready, keeping your top hand close to your rib cage, just open the arm out in T position. And as you kind of open out, give yourself a few moments. Notice how this opens up around the top leg's hip joint a little differently. Just a few moments to unstiffen here. And again, keeping your hand close to your rib cage. Bring that right hand back. That hand slide over and back out. And then with the right knee bent, let that right arm go forward and back 2 or 3 more times. Okay, so you've got a third position for the bolster. All you're going to do, just think it, you're going to straighten the right foot forward. So rather than right knee bent, turn the bolster 90 degrees. So now you've got the long edge of the bolster going away from you. The short edge is closer to you. Place your now straightened right leg over the bolster again in front of you. Your legs are like in an L shape. And you'll do the same thing. Right hand, top hand slides forward, hand over hand, and then slides back. Notice how this is changing at the top leg again. As you roll the rib cage back away from the pelvis, what kind of fiber tensioning, fiber pulling can you feel? Muscle fiber, connective tissue fiber. Make sure it's not burning or hurting you. It can be intense, but make sure it's not pain. And then when you're ready from here, one more time, we're going to open out to T position. So that top hand, keep it close to your rib cage and open the arms out to T position again. Notice how that feels to have the right arm open to the right while the right leg is straightened and supported on the bolster off to the left. Unstiffen any gripping you might still be holding along your buttocks or your legs, around your belly or your rib cage. And then there's no in the right hand close to the rib cage. Bring the hand back over the left hand. And then just let the right hand slide forward and back a couple times. How's that feel now? Okay, so here's where it's going to get tricky because we got to set up and do those 3 positions again. We're going to come back to table. So do that. You might bend the right knee and bring the right leg down next to the left leg. You can kind of shove the bolster forward, maybe roll onto your belly. And then from your belly down, press yourself back up to hands and knee. Try your cat-cow after doing that. And notice how the right side of your body does cat-cow compared to the left. We're going to do a touch and go and thread the needle. We're going to only go for 1 breath. Just do it first with your right hand threading under. Right hand threads under for thread the needle. Feels like. And then come on back up and repeat that slower with left hand under. And notice if your left side feels more stiffened compared to the right side. Remember, it's only a touch and go. We're just going to stay here for maybe one full breath in and out. And you'll bring yourself back up to table when you're ready. And then we're going to set up again. I want to check in as you come back. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Did anybody find your right side was a lot easier and thread the needle that time compared to the left? Awesome. 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 So here's the instruction again. I'm going to sit towards the back of my mat. And I'm going to take the bolster long ways and I'm going to place it on my mat on the left side of my mat. Okay. And then from here, I'm going to bring myself around. See how I'm totally facing away from the bolster? And I want to get my feet so they are in front of the bolster. And I'm laying down now on my right side. My legs are in chair position. What is chair position? When your knees are bent at 90. So from chair position, laying on my right side, I've now got the bolster long ways position behind both of my shins. Take your feet off the bolster, Jessica. Get your feet on the floor to start. So that short edge is by your butt. Ah, perfect. Now all you have to do is pick up that left leg and straighten that left leg over the bolster. You might want to slide it down a little bit if you don't like the dangling foot. Your foot is supported on the bolster as well. Oh, and I forgot to say, don't forget to move your cinnamon roll. So you have your folded blanket under your head, so your neck is. And so left leg for me now is on top. Left arm is on top of the right arm. And once you've rested for a moment, then the top hand slowly slides forward and then comes back and slides back. So take your time as you glide, hand forward and hand back. Remember, rest your rib cage. All of it. Let them rest on the floor while the arm is in motion. And notice by position on the bolster, especially as your arm is going backwards, how do you feel the belly muscle and fiber pull away from the hip flexor space? Try not to let the left foot turn up. Keep the left toe, the knee pointing forward. So you're not changing the position of your top leg. Remember, your top leg is straight over the bolster. If you have not top leg over the bolster, you do that. Yeah, there you go. And so we do those first arm movements with top leg straight over. Just the neck. So bring the hand back. Keep your hand closer to your rib cage as you open your arm out to T position. I don't do it rolling my head onto the floor off of the cinnamon roll. I'm in T position. Make sure your neck is taller wherever you're playing. And then let go of any gripping in either leg's inner thigh and your buttocks. Let your spine and belly ungrip here. And then with ease, your left hand stays close to your ribs as you bring yourself out of T position, back into side lying, supporting your head with your cinnamon roll. A couple times, let that left top hand go forward and back. Okay, we've got the next position of the legs. Top leg is straight for this one, bottom leg is bent. We're just going to reverse it. So you can take the top leg, use it to help move the bolster forward a little bit on the mat. Now you're going to have your bottom leg has to get behind the bolster, your foot and your knee, and your top knee will be bent, resting on the bolster. Bring the bolster up so you've got your knee still at hip height. So now bottom leg is straight behind the bolster, top leg is bent over the bolster. Left hand does its little roll forward, palm over palm, back. Remember, you're not bending the elbow, you're rolling on the ribs, you're pinning the right shoulder blade more, asking the rib cage to create a rotary movement around the shoulder blade. After you've done the rolling a few times, maybe pay attention, especially as the arm is going backwards. Can you feel the belly pulling away from the hip flexor, from the side of the thigh? And at some point, you'll bring the hand all the way back. Keep hand close to ribs as you into T position, and then just give yourself a few moments to breathe there. I like to put my skull on the floor in this open T position rather than keeping my neck flexed on the center. Let the breath do the work from the inside. Can you breathe quietly? Find your pauses. Don't lose the pauses after the inhale and the pause after the exhale. And after you've been here for a few moments, keeping your palm somewhat closer to your rib cage rather than going through the sky. Bring your arm back up. Once you're back on your side, do a few more of those arm movements forward and back. See what that feels like now. And then once you restacked your hands, we've got our third leg position. So this is where the top leg will end up with the knee straight, foot in front of you. So your legs are in an L shape. You'll turn, spin, bolster 90 degrees. So now you've got the short edge of the bolster facing your body. And then you'll straighten the top leg over the bolster again. Maybe push the bolster so you've got your foot fully supported, no dangling ankles. And then once you've restacked the hands, top hand goes forward, top hand comes back. Easy rolling. Taking your time as you go in each direction. Eventually, keeping hand close to rib cage as you unfold yourself. Keep position. Pull of your belly and ribs away from your leg. And then as you rest in the open T position, can you breathe to help invite all of those tissues become more comfortable with this length? Over time, the changing shape of breathing tensions and untensions those fibers. Try to unstiffen the muscles of both legs, buttocks and pelvis. Unclenching your teeth if they're biting together, something to roof of mouth. Can you notice the vibration with your roof of mouth? Can your eyeballs feel it through the floor of your eye socket? Even if you don't feel it, how do you calibrate your attention to notice in that direction? The left arm, keeping the hand to the rib cage. You can unwind the T position, coming back into side lying. Let the top arm go forward and back a few times. See what that feels like now. Eventually restacking hand over hand. And then as you bend the top knee, bring the top leg back towards you. You can push the bolster away as you raise yourself into table position again. At table position, give yourself a little cat-cow. See what that feels like. Touch and go, thread the needle. We're not going to stay here very long. Right hand can thread behind left wrist, bringing your right shoulder down to the floor. Prioritize protecting your neck here. After you've been here for a moment, pressing into the left palm, bring yourself back to table. Touch and go, thread the needle on the second side, left, and this time behind right wrist. Resting here. Eventually, palm press, withdraw the arm, come back to table. Try your cat-cow again. See how that feels. Settle yourself back into child's pose. See how that feels. Maybe add a little wobble of your pelvis side to side. And then once you raise yourself back to table, any final movements your body's asking for, we're going to end tonight in supported fish over the bolster. A little bit of a back bend after those flexion movements. To get into supported fish, you can take the bolster, short edge of the bolster closest to your pelvis. And as you bring yourself down, you might want to take one or two blocks and place them behind your knees so your knees stay a little bent, or you can have your legs straight. Once you've brought yourself down onto your elbows, laying over the bolster, you might even use your cinnamon roll blanket and place it behind your head, especially if it feels like your head is falling way back off the edge of the bolster. Once you've got your spine on the bolster, you might kind of lean against your back to pick your butt up off the floor, reorganize clothing and positioning as necessary. Options for the legs. They can be straightened, just letting the knees and feet turn out. You can bend the knees and bring the bottoms of the feet together like Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. You can have just one leg with the knee bent out, other leg straightened, and you can also reverse that. So like a tree pose laying down in there. Take your time. As you settle in, let your legs explore the different positions or just pick one and be there. You might take your arms out to T position, or from T position, even reach a little up past your head. Careful of your shoulder joints. This can be a lot on the front of the shoulder joints, but especially if you've had your hand on a mouse all day or a steering wheel, this might feel nice to have your rib cage higher than your hands, so you get a little extra opening through your pec muscles. Without lifting your head, you might even roll your head a little to the left and then up and then a little to the right and up. Don't have to do a lot there. Eventually, your arms will come back. How about resting hands on your belly or palms on the floor beside you, or even palms to the ceiling beside you, hands turned up? Before you settle in too far, if you're inclined to respond, thumbs up, thumbs down. How's your practice been for you tonight? Awesome. Thanks for your feedback. As you settle in here, you can bring yourself back to the four parts to the breath. Maybe even hum one or three exhales if that works for you. Eventually, let go of any humming and vibration. Let go of trying to control your breathing. Even say to yourself, it's time to rest. Also say to yourself, when you come out of fish tonight, you'll be on your own. The video will have ended. So say to yourself, I'm going to roll to my side to get out of fish. I'm not going to sit straight up. So much safer, especially after being in fish. If you would prefer to have seated meditation to end tonight, you can roll to your side now and bring yourself up into seated position. If you're done being on the bolster, you can roll to your side now, push it out of the way, and then lay down flat on your back. Maybe even put the bolster behind your knees. And if you're not done with fish, good gosh, you're exactly where you need to be. Letting go of controlling the breath, giving yourself to rest, unclenching the teeth. ungripping the hands and the eyes, letting your forehead feel wide and smooth. Go ahead and give yourself these next 60 seconds here to rest in silence. Give yourself permission to rest here a while longer tonight. Remember, if you're still laying over the bolster, you'll roll to your side when you sit up. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'll see you all again next time.